What is up? Greetings. We have a wonderful show planned today. We have the whole team from ticker Crkt joining us, an update from Rick Jordan of ticker YCRM, and I will give my thoughts on Ilus, EHVVF, and others. So let's hop to it and do it. All right, how is everyone doing today? It's good to be back live on Sundays. And then normally we're in the evening, but hey, we have somebody from all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. So yeah, it's a 4 p.m. show. And listen, if you're joining live, whether you're on X, YouTube, or Facebook, put your questions in the chat because that's why we're here. First-hand due diligence, DD from the source. All right, so we have a lot to discuss, and I don't want to waste any time. We got the entire team of Crkt on, and we have company founder John Brennan, CEO Thomas Brennan, and CFO Don Morrison. Let's bring him in. Gentlemen, welcome to Buffalo Fireside Chats. How are we doing today?
Yeah, really good, thanks.
Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
All right, yeah, good.
Good. Great to have you. What time is it over there in Ireland?
Yeah, it's 9 p.m. at night, and you've just taken me away from the European nations final between Spain and Portugal. It's half time over there, and it's 2-1 to Spain.
Oh boy.
So
See,
evening time on the Sunday evening. But we're happy to be here to chat to you guys.
that's awesome. I want to just go right for it. There's so much to discuss with you guys because this is brand new. This is a brand new play for everybody. We just brought this to the spaces over there in X the other day, last week, and you guys have a lot going on. So, for those unfamiliar with Crkt, can you tell us a bit about the company and you guys, your journey and what's been going on and what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, I suppose. Well, thank you very much, Eric.
Hand over to me.
Yeah, for taking the time. We've been following your program for quite a while, and I think it's amazing the opportunity you give companies growing to present their ideas and give both investors and companies a really good platform. So, So I want to. My father is here. He's the founder of Maraltuk. Maraltuk is a company we acquired just before Christmas, and it was the reason we bought Surmaker to begin with. So I'd like him to take the floor on this.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Eric. Yeah, thank you very much again for the opportunity. So I'm here to show you the picture of what you're looking at now in Surmaker, and to give you a little bit about the background of MLG or Maraltuk, which I was one of the major founders back in 2016 as a private company, and just a little bit about ourselves as well, and the genesis of the company and what this amazing opportunity is for the people who are looking at the company right now. So, and I would like to say at the off that whether you become an investor or not, do make a note of Surmaker and watch it grow, because we're here for the long haul, and we have what we think is a unique and amazing opportunity. Yeah, so my name is John Kieran Brennan. In Ireland, you use the second name as your Christian name, so everyone calls me Kieran, except maybe when I'm in hospital or something like that. So it's just a uniquely Irish thing. So I'm here to explain the genesis of Maraltuk, right? So it was born out of the ashes of the economic crash of 2008, 2012. We were hit pretty badly in Ireland. Our banks literally went bust. We had the World Bank in here because our bank went all bankrupt. In fact, the government had to take over the banks. So everybody in Ireland got hammered. All the business people, all the property developers, anyone with any business. just no banks, no money. I mean, it's a shocking scenario. And people at the time were working on the basis of really good business plans. These were all solid middle class business people who were just devastated. I mean, just the nearest thing I can think of to your guys in history was the Wall Street crash in the 20s, where people were jumping off buildings. The same thing here. Suicide went through the roof here. So something had to be done. And while the government, looked after the banks, nobody looked after the ordinary individuals. So a few of us got together, a few lawyers. I'm originally qualified as a lawyer some 30 years ago, and a few of us got together, maybe 10 of us, and accountants, workers on building sites, construction workers. We got together and we decided we had to do something about this. So what we did essentially was we formed an organization, and we called it Moraltuk, in order to fight the banks. It's unusual over here on this side of the pond, in that the banks don't have the powers, legal powers that in Ireland that they have in the States. So banks must actually go to court and get a court order. We have very strong constitutional powers, so we blocked them. We just literally showed people how to fight, and fight hard. We weren't personally. We were okay financially, but some people just didn't have the money to hire lawyers. And anyway, the lawyers were bust themselves. I mean, it was a shocking scenario. You have no idea how bad it was. In those times, I've lived through it, and thank God we're back out at the other side, and I can let this new generation take it on, and to bigger and better things. And Ireland is back on track pretty much. But so we decided to form a company, and we called it Moraltuk. Now, it's for any of you to understand or that know about history. Moraltuk comes from Irish mythology. It was the sword of the famous Fianna Éireann, and the Moraltuk sword won all battles. And if you were killed in battle, if you were dubbed with the sword, like knighted, you were brought back to life, as long as you died with honor. And so we named the company Moraltuk. In fact, on our first anniversary, they actually gave me a massive sword, and we called that Moraltuk sword, and I have it up in my office. So we saw the need and we saw the opportunity, right? The need was that people needed money, and the opportunity was massive because people were losing their property. So what we decided to do was we decided to help people to fight, to hold on to the property, and to raise the finance for people to make deals. Now, what happened on the other side was that the banks brought in vulture funds, some of them from the United States, who bought the loans for 10, 20, 30%. And these guys tried for a while to try and get 100% from the individual. Unconscionable bargain, really, right? So what the opportunity we saw was this enormous amount of property, and the need was to raise to fight, first of all, and to fight to make a settlement. So to put a deal in place that everyone could live with. So the vultures that came in, we called them vulture funds, but the funds that came in would have bought typically for 20%. So if we could give them 30% or 40%, then they're going away with 100% profit. And yet each individual, we call them our property partners, are getting away with a seriously reduced debt. That's fundamentally what the business plan was for Moraltuk. Now, there's a lot of other plans for Surmaker for this aspect of it, and that was the plan. And to the extent that's as far as we went, it was extremely successful. We right now have in around 34 property partners. 34 property partners have in excess of 100 million worth of assets.
Wow.
And that's what we're going to bring to Surmaker over the next couple of years, or that's what the new people coming forward are going to bring to Surmaker, or hope to bring to Surmaker coming forward. So people who are looking at this company, you're not just looking at a standard pink sheet company, although that's where we found the opportunity to get into the capital markets in the States as being the quickest and the cheapest, the most economic. A lot of good companies have done that. A lot of good companies have come in on this basis and gone to the top. And SurMaker's intention is to go to the top. Now, for example, the 34 property partners we have. So we have right now we're fully audited, very stringent European audits. We're fully audited, and our net asset base is about close on 50 million euros, whatever.
50 million, 50.
There thereabouts. Yeah. I mean, we have accountants and so on to deal with things like that. But yeah, and our intention is to bring all the assets on board over the next month and years, right? So that's why I'm saying anyone looking at Crkt right now, just watch. I mean, we're down a penny cents, but we're really an awful lot more valuable once we get the act together and get the thing done, right? Now, to give you an example of the projects that we're bringing in, and I'm going to be very brief because I know I'm short of time, and we will answer any questions if we can. To give you an example, so of the 34 property partners, we have individuals that we're fighting evictions on a daily basis. We do this on a daily basis. Like tomorrow, there's 2 evictions, attempts at evictions that we're actually fighting in the law courts in Ireland, right? And we're just blocking them. We're making deals. We're raising the finance, all of that, right? We have some property partners, and I'll finish when I tell you this. We have some really big property partners. For example, we have one particular guy that has full planning license and everything else for an Irish whiskey distillery of 1 million litres of whiskey per annum, and we intend to bring that to the market. Maybe off spin it of SurMaker. Obviously we need specialists. We're already talking to specialist funders on a thing like that. We've got another property partner that has almost close to 1,000 houses to build, and Ireland is a massive problem with lack of housing here. So I suppose probably the jewel in our crown is we have Kennedy Equine Centre, which actually they have a place in Kentucky. A horse farm in Kentucky, and one of our major property partners with like 400 mares that stood. These are the businesses that we're partnering with, bringing them forward with SurMaker. So this is a huge operation. That's just to give you a flavour of it. Okay. Now I'm heading for 70, right? I'm nearly finished now. I would talk for Ireland, by the way, but I'm nearly finished. I'm heading for 70. I've this damn diabetes 2 thing, whatever it's called. So I will be handing over the mantle to the young crowd. There's a very, very strong executive board coming forward into SurMaker over the next few months, and I'm certain that they'll be massively successful. Okay, that gives you a flavor, Eric. If that's
it really does. And I will say that I mean, if I'm ever looking down, it's just because I'm taking a lot of notes, so I don't mean any disrespect. So I know you guys first time on the show, but I love the name and I love the meaning behind the name. That's a pretty badass, and I love that. And so you guys put thought into that. You have 34 property partners, fully audited. We're talking 50 million in assets. All right. And by the way, because we're going to talk share structure too, but yes, and I was going to ask about the high demand for property in Ireland right now, and so there is. And you're also talking about building 1,000 homes, guys. We're talking about a lot of revenue here, huge revenue potential. By the way, on the whiskey distillery, I'd love to do a product review. All right, as long as I can remember afterwards how good it is. So
more like
love my Irish whiskey for sure. I do. So my question was, I mean, so you got the assets coming in. That's unbelievable. You guys are going to have a bunch of different divisions, lots of revenue producing. I'm going to ask more about the revenue in a second, but it seems like have you been successful so far? Maybe a success story that you could share with us where you fought and you won, and it makes that change. So somebody isn't upended, their life isn't upended where they have to move or fork over their property, and everybody sort of gets even. I mean, could you share something along those lines? I know you just talked about the 2 evictions that you're fighting now, but could you just share with us a success story?
Two evictions only happening tomorrow. That's just tomorrow, right? So these are just individuals who and they're trying to hold on to their homes, and the banks are seeking an order for possession. We go in there typically and we do a deal whereby we buy maybe 6 months' time. There are funds working in Ireland right now. Our major banks are very loath to deal with these people because they're they have I suppose in one sense they're the victims of the crash, and although it took place some time ago, they're still holding out, but they don't have access to finance as such. But there are funds there which we're dealing with quite a lot, offering what we call bridging finance, maybe 18 months to 2.5 years, things like that, and we have done several of those. And as we go forward, and as we have our roadshows and so on and so forth, we will be bringing people to give testimonials to those particular issues and how we help them. I guess for right now, we can just put on the table that this is what we're doing, and we're relatively successful. Now we can't save everybody. I mean, there are scenarios where we just, it's like the ship coming to save the people who were going down in the Titanic. Some people drowned. There's nothing we can do. It's just too late. But of the ones that we're fighting for, and the other I suppose principle that we work on is the basis of that people must be prepared to fight for themselves, because a lot of these people are lay litigants, and we're teaching them how to be lay litigants, and it's not easy, and a lot of people are intimidated by the legal systems and so on and so forth. But there is a slogan that we're using and have done right since the beginning, is that this is a scenario where altruism meets capitalism. So that we are an altruistic company, but we're not here for the good of our health. We are capitalists. And there is a massive uplift on the deal that we do with people. So we go in, and let's take a typical example where I think we're probably announcing one right now at the moment, where we go in and we make a deal with the bank, and let's say it's 40% loan to value. So we use a thing called the sale and leaseback system. It's a typical conveyancing mechanism, where you buy and the people sell, and we lease it back instantly, so nothing changes, right? And they pay a rent for a period of time, be it 5 years, 10 years. It's different in each case, but they have an option to buy back. They buy back at full value, so there's a 60%, 50 to 60% uplift in there built in for the company from the very beginning. I mean, it's incredible potential on this. That's why I'm just telling people, even if they don't get involved and don't buy shares, buy by all means. This is what we hope to do. This is what we intend to do. But watch us. Watch that. I think we are disruptive, but I think that I certainly don't know anyone else that's doing this at the moment. We're probably the only company that's actually doing this, because people backs are against the wall, and instead of us walking on their graves or trampling them down, we're actually giving them a helping hand, and together we're going forward.
And by the way, Don, you're not we couldn't get you on the last call. If you think you're getting out of here without answering some questions, I'm going to get to you in a second, but I did want to follow up. This is great stuff here. I like, especially the opportunity to buy that property. It really is almost like a double dip, so it sort of works out. And I want to ask about, can you guys go internationally with that model that you're bringing? So like, you could bring it to possibly other countries that face the same situation and say, this is our model. I know you may have issues like with the banks, perhaps is different, and it varies from country to country. So what can you do to expand your footprint even outside of Ireland?
Eric, I think the main thing was to get on the market, to get access to finance, and we've over the last year we've done everything to do so. So we've acquired SurMaker. Your audience may or may not be the same people as last week, but we acquired SurMaker this time last year, maybe a couple of months before, maybe March, April of last year, and rehabilitated it. If some of your people were watching the company, we've filed everything to bring us up to pink current, and the access to the finance has always been the issue, and it's still the issue in Ireland and elsewhere. But in Ireland, we really have a failed banking system, and if we're able to succeed on the level we want to, the sky is the limit. I think as a quoted company, on the market, having access to finance, we can expand this anywhere. We happen to have a unique situation in Ireland where there's a lack of finance, but also very strong property rights, which have given for this unique opportunity for us, both in debt restructuring, but actually also in the development of housing. Because there's a restriction on because we don't have banks, there's not the level of development finance available, and also there's no mortgage. There's no free availability of mortgage for people. So in Ireland, it's a unique opportunity now, and I think upon raising money on the market, we can really expand this elsewhere. So and I think we're on a really good time in the world as well, with the debt cycle and long-term debt cycles, and craziness going on in the bond market, etc. We have a really good opportunity to expand this in America and elsewhere.
We're not taking out delinquent debtors, by the way, Eric, and anyone that's listening. We're not just there to save people who drink themselves into trouble or whatever. I mean, it's the genesis was where really decent, good business plans were being followed, and it was the banks who went bust. Now, I mean, we have a banking system, of course we have, but they're very loath to deal with people who went down before, unlike the States. You can get up in the States and go again and go down and go up again and so on. You can't do that in Ireland in Europe in particular, but certainly in Ireland you can't do it, right? So that's where this opportunity. But this is only, to my way of thinking, it's only a stepping stone to other projects, because what we're really doing is, we're trying to emulate Warren Buffett. Is to take a percentage in various different projects, our property partners, and let them do their business, let them raise their finance, and we just take a slice of the action while we're sitting back. So, for example, with our whiskey and with our building, we don't intend to become house builders. We don't intend to be running a whiskey distillery as such. We'll have someone on the board, but the individual guys who were there from the beginning are there doing that. That's their expertise. That's the beauty of this.
I think it's great. I love the business concept. And by the way, guys, if you aren't familiar, we're actually having our first conference actually on June 16th and 17th, and these guys are going to be presenting. So I actually look forward to watching your presentation. So make sure you guys just tune in. It's going to be streaming live on X, on YouTube, on Facebook. So definitely check it out. And I'm actually excited when you guys present. Don, I want to talk to you about the share structure. I want to talk to you about a convertible note, but let's talk shares first.
Sure.
I want to talk about the number of restricted outstanding shares. Can you provide clarity on who holds the shares and whether there's any lockup or intention to protect retail investors from a wave of dilution? Because, we've seen it a lot where, it looks great, and then the company picks up steam, and out of nowhere, a shitstorm happens, and next thing you know, the price is tanking because people are dumping all over retail.
Sure. Well,
what's going on there?
Yeah, well, we all have our war wounds from that, so we all know that happens, but not on this one. So as it relates to SurMaker, I'll just give the brief history of it. Is that I became involved because they wanted to take a shell company and they wanted to roll their assets into it and become public. And it is a expensive process in Europe. It's a very expensive process, but you can do that very quickly and economically in the States. So we picked SurMaker, and like any company, it came with an existing share structure. I think the share structure was around 27.9 million. And of those 27.9, we had about 3,381,550 shares that are freely trading at this point. And frankly, that's been the same amount for 25 years. So this was a company that goes way back 25 years. It started as a wrestling company, and a couple years later, it did a transaction where it bought majority ownership of a company called SurMaker Technology out of Taiwan. And it actually ended up with 2,700 Taiwanese shareholders. All of those shares are held by thousands of individuals in very small amounts. And that's kind of how the company formed. And then beyond that, it went dormant. So it became an expert market company. And so we took it over. We did the filings. We brought it back up. And then John came along with Moreltech, and we decided that we would put that asset into it and make it an operating real estate company that specializes in distressed real estate. And so we did a share issuance based on what we knew was outstanding, and we issued another bunch of shares. All of those shares, of course, are restricted shares. And it probably bears interest that Moreltech has attracted around 600 private shareholders. Some put in cash to help on the property deals, and some property owners converted into shares. And so if you're prepared to invest in a private company over years and years, you're now into the public company. All of those shares at the present time are locked up under a control position, right? So they don't come onto the market. That's the long-term ownership. So what we really have is 3.381 million shares outstanding. And I believe that's the way it's going to be for some period of time. It may be worth noting that we've been examining, as I do, all of the history of SearMaker. So you go right back to the original issuance, and you know your listeners can look up this as well. SearMaker did this share transaction and issued 22 million shares back around 2003, based on the fact that they had bought this company called SearMaker Industries. One of the key requirements to that was the Taiwan Ministry of Economic Affairs would approve the transaction. And it is somewhat now apparent that they never did. And as a result of that, SearMaker just went dark. It went dark in 2005. It was reporting and then basically went dark. So we are now examining the potential, but probably the reality of for non-consideration eliminating those shares. And as a result of that, you really will just get down to what you see in the DTC system. For what it's worth, I've been a buyer of those shares. As you know, Thomas is now a buyer of those shares. That's been disclosed. I think collectively we own 400,000. So we are certainly putting our money where our mouth is and picking that up. So as far as we're concerned, you've got a 3.381 million float, and that's the way it's going to stay.
That's a great answer, and I know that answers a lot of people are thinking about that, especially as this stock becomes more vocal and there's more updates. And you know, Super Robot, I got to give a shout out to Super Robot because you saw the video he did, and he sort of calculated like, hey, this market cap is not accurate, so there is total upward possibilities here, big time. So the market cap is not essentially accurate as it is. So
well, yeah, that's another point though to address, because when you step into these companies, you know, and it's a shell, so you know, you bring 40-50 million in assets to it, you want a significant degree of control, call it 90%. So if you have 30 million shares outstanding, you want 90%, you issue 270 million, you have 300 outstanding, 30 in the hands of the public, 10%, and the rest in the controlling founders. But what if you took that 27 million that existed when we bought it and we wiped out 22 million for non-consideration? Now we're down to less than 5 million, and we have had discussions about recalibrating the common. In other words, reducing the common down to a level that's proportionate. What does that mean? That means we could end up maybe at 50 million shares. And you know what that would do for the price. So that's kind of like our thought process. I'm sure Thomas can address the note as well, because that's an issue. We acquired a legacy note, and that went to a friendly component, a friendly person in the group. So maybe Thomas, you can describe the issue with that.
Yeah, I know I mentioned it on the last call, and we were in the process of removing it. We're essentially have agreed to remove it. It was, and as you say, it's an individual that is a friendly individual, has actually received their share. We call it share swap. their existing Moraltic shares. They've received them in SurMaker, and so as part of that sort of arrangement, they've agreed to cancel it. So your listeners can understand that there'll be no convertible note going forward.
When could we expect to see a PR confirming that that's actually been executed? Are we going to see that soon? I hate to use the word soon, folks, but it's soon.
We were hoping to have it this current week, but this week, the week coming, we will have it announced, and so maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that.
I think that's going to be an amazing catalyst, getting rid of that note, and it's going to be clean. It's like this is a clean real estate deal. I absolutely love it. So, and I talked to my audience too. Like I said, that for years I was looking for like a nice real estate based company, and so I know I talked to Don. Don came along and he's like, "Well, we got to talk CRKT," and so I think it's awesome. And I think I think the business plan is great. I think you're capitalizing on something, that is going to not only benefit people but create a lot. It's going to generate a lot of revenue, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it too, but it's twofold. It's the fact that they've been able to understand this disparity in the marketplace, go out privately and do deals and put more than 50 million on. So let's be clear right now, SurMaker is unaudited, but there'll be a process to audit that, and the underlying Moraltech is audited. All right, so that's kind of where we sit today. But they've managed to build about $50 million privately. So can you imagine now you turn that into the public entity? So John was the majority shareholder, and John transferred just over 50% into SurMaker. And now our goal is to go back to the remaining 600 private shareholders in Moraltech, some that put in cash and some that transferred their property and offered them shares in SurMaker. That's really the goal, so that we can move from that 50+% control to 100. And that's kind of, now the segue to that is that a number of those 600 shareholders that are around the world are now interested in purchasing shares in the market. Why wouldn't they be? They will own shares privately. And so that's underway. And so we're seeing the beginning of people actually opening accounts, and Thomas himself had to open one, and it's not as easy if you live in another country opening in the States. It takes a little while to do. But as that comes on, I think you'll see more of the private shareholders in Moraltech becoming the public shareholders in SurMaker.
Absolutely. And can I just tell you also, Eric, I mean, our shareholder base of 600 plus shareholders, there's a good few of them in Ireland. They have vested interest. They have vested interest because their property or their family's property is involved. It's a long-term thing. It cannot be a pump and dump because they need the long-term scenario. We also have a big chunk of shareholders in the United Kingdom, and believe it or not, in the Kingdom of Thailand. The reason Thailand, because I have quite a property portfolio in Thailand. Including if any of you are interested in going on holidays, we've got a lovely boutique hotel in the northeast, and be happy to accommodate any shareholders. So we have over 100 shareholders out there, and very sophisticated they are as well. So we have a broad base, and vast majority of them, the ones that we're in contact with, we've quite a few. We have a couple of major shareholders in the United States as well, actually. But by and large, all of them, I would be astonished if any of them, all of them will be coming across to SurMaker. Why not?
Excellent. All right, I want to get to some questions from the audience and the video. Let's go. Yes, he just called me. I'm like, by the way, I'm live. So what's up, the video? I hope you're doing well. So that was a buzzing going on my desk over here, and I'm gonna actually Super Robot's joining us, and he had a question. For CRKT, following your recent 5 million real estate acquisition, what are the next steps going forward to build your portfolio? So, and you talked a little bit about that. Maybe you could answer him directly.
Yeah, so this is a very it's a deal that is something we want to replicate. Within this specific deal, there's actually a building site to develop 12 properties. The next step there specifically actually is to move to get planning permission on that property. The deal overall is something that we want to replicate. So there was maybe $1 million, just shy of $1 million dollars borrowed to restructure a debt on this particular portfolio. The portfolio includes 8 properties, something like 3-bed semis, if you want to visualize what they are. And then the development site that's on the same area, we could build 12 plus of the similar type of house. So essentially, it's actually a building site that was not completed. And throughout Ireland, if you're traveling in Ireland, you will notice quite a lot of development sites that were never completed, because the crash in 08, 09, it just developers just had to sort of call in their men and fire a lot of them, to be honest, and move on. And so you see that a lot in Ireland. There's development sites that are unfinished, and so it's something that we will look at as well. But in particular, this is a deal that we want to replicate, these types of deals, and they're very much available. This is a 20% loan to value deal. They're all over the place in Ireland, and it's just a matter of gaining access to some finance. As you were saying before, there are funds that come in and restructure debts, yes, but they don't provide a way out. They essentially make it worse. It's 15% interest per year, and they'll take your asset if you default. So this is a deal we want to replicate for sure.
Right on. I have a question from Jord Hugga, and I like how they do this. They put the name of the ticker, DH. I'm talking to you. CRKT, thank you for taking the time. Do you plan on being structured as a BDC or REIT? Assuming a few years for growth, it sounds like dividends could be a part of your plan. Please let us know if yes.
Yeah, well, as I understand, a REIT generally sells off most of the entity. It's somewhat structured like a REIT, and we are aiming at providing a dividend in the future. We do want to expand in multiple directions in terms of, not just be a property player, not just be in the property industry. We want to invest in other things. So it's maybe we might spin off some of the assets into a REIT at some point, but for now, CRKT is the entity it is.
If I can come in there, I think dividends is a definite yes. I think without a shadow of a doubt, as soon as we have the finance in place and we have the profits flow. You remember the two unique aspects of the deal we're doing from a property point of view. One is that is an annual payment, which we call rent, but it really is the cost of funds plus profit for the company. And the other is the massive up to 50% uptake when people buy back. The buyback is the big thing here. Irish people want to keep their property. We have a history of 800 years of fighting with our neighbour to try and take our property back, and so the Irish people want to keep their property. So this is the major what would I call it, plus for people, that they say, yeah, okay, we're going to restructure you. You're at less than 50% loan to value. You're way less than the original debt. You have 5 years. If you want 10, you can have it on a lease basis, and then you buy back and you get how much you like. And in the meantime, we're making a profit. So I mean, that's different from a REIT. And as Tomas said, I mean, this is only one project, or one project, one aspect of the project that we want to get involved in.
Excellent answer, Jordan. I hope that answers your question. And I do want to ask a little bit. I know we have a couple more minutes, so I definitely want to ask this question. I want to talk about how you're currently being capitalized. Are there any plans to raise? I know you're going to raise money. You're going to want to raise funds. How's it going to be? Through dilution, debt, strategic partnerships, revenue-based financing? What are you guys going to do to raise money? Because that's why you're public here, and so that's a question I know most people have. So
yeah, do you want to take that, Don, or will we?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're so the first thing is we're re-examining, because of the issues I raised before, the cap structure. So if our 500 and some million shares outstanding comes down to, let's say 50 or 100, these are just working numbers, right? We're going through that. That will recalibrate presumably the book value and the price of the business. And at that point, I think we'd be looking at a Reg 8. Now we've done recently 100,000 in a straight up private placement, right? So there's money out there to acquire, and there's also money through loans. So, you know, sometimes you're going to look at combinations of things, but I think if we can kind of recalibrate the price to a level that we think is reasonable, we'll go for a Reg A. I think that's kind of how we'll play it out, and in conjunction with loans and further from. Yep.
Oh, okay. So just I know Jordan has a follow up too. I'm going to bring Jordan back on. I do want to ask the level of the Reg A. Do you plan on issuing a hell of a bunch of stock at like half a penny, or
never going to happen. Never going to happen.
I gotta ask, you know.
Yeah.
So,
listen, we've all
free shares, CRKT. No, I'm just kidding.
The thing is this, that you examine the share base, right? So when I talked about all those original SearMaker shareholders going, that's a non-consideration, right? So they disappear, and then you're really left with that 3 and some million outstanding that came back from the original 25-cent IPO, right? That's where it goes back. So you got shareholders 25 years ago paid 25 cents a share. So you've got to make sure when we look at the Moraltech shareholders and their cost base relative to SearMaker, I think, Thomas, you can speak to that, but it's somewhere in the maybe 50 cent, 60 cent range. So what you really can't issue at less than those types of numbers, but it remains to be seen where SearMaker stock goes. You know, we'll try and bring awareness to it. We'll try and get our group into it and see if we can generate that. But I would be more comfortable at those levels, raising capital.
Okay.
Can I just say, Eric, before you finish, I can't wait to get in front of an audience in Boston and Chicago and New York, where we have major Irish populations all doing well. Because what the Irish are doing here, and we call them the fighting, they're not called the fighting Irish for nothing. They're fighting back. They're fighting back to protect their property and protect their families. And you know, the road shows that we would be doing when we are certainly doing a Reg A raise, you know, will be emotional, but will also be I would say very valuable for the people who are lucky enough to buy some shares.
Yeah, and you got to make a pit stop in Buffalo, especially if you're going to Chicago.
Yeah, I had a kid actually on scholarship in Buffalo, upstate New York. Yeah.
What college?
He was in.
I can't think.
He
of
was
the name,
in.
The soccer scholarship he had anyway.
Nice.
I
had 11 guys.
Starts with S.
I had 11 guys at one stage on soccer scholarships in the United States, because it's a massive opportunity. Rather than going to the United Kingdom and being, you know, a journeyman, they get their education, and American education is very valuable, and they get it through playing football, you know.
George wants a follow up regarding the dividends. This guy loves this dividend. And was it Syracuse University, by the way?
It might have been Syracuse, but I'll find out. It wasn't Syracuse.
It wasn't Syracuse, no. If you name it, I'll tell you. I call them and I'll know the next time, right? I call them and know the next time.
Canisius, is it? Canisius?
Oh, Canisius.
Yeah.
Canisius is down the street, down the way.
I'm looking at that. That is a great question, because that is a way on your preferred shares to kind of move away from the common, right, and peg a rate. Right now, you know, we're still building. And so when I look at the potential, I mean, it was 50 million or 46 million we had on our balance sheet, even though the appraised value was higher. That's what happened. But we put it in at the 46 million. We felt that was conservative. We've just done a $5 million deal. So I think you're going to see more of those in the short term, build the company up to a size. And I think once you get to a certain size and you get a more stabilized revenue stream, then I think you're going to be able to explore those possibilities. But frankly, we're just out the gate. I mean, really, we're just you got to crawl before you walk, before you run, right? And we're just cutting our teeth on the OTC markets. I mean, of course, we're going to go, all things being equal, to a larger exchange. But it's a very good place for us to go public, to add acquisitions, to get our policies and procedures and controls in place at this level. So that's where I think we want to play until we've got our game plan down. We've built our board up, all the things that you would want to see done so that we can move it forward.
If I had a nickel for every time one of my guests said, man, that's a really good question, and it's Jordan, I would make a lot of money. Thanks for your participation, Jordan. I want to thank you guys for coming on, and I just want to, this is, as things develop, I think you guys are going to make some noise. I think you're going to be very successful at what you do. I like the niche market that you're going to be serving. I like the expanding your divisions. I'm pretty damn excited about the whiskey distillery too. So I think, the 1,000 homes, expanding, your property projects going to be huge. That's just my opinion. Remember, guys, none of this is financial advice. You got to do your own due diligence. Make sure you do that. That's why we're here having this Q&A, and we will have many Q&As. I look forward to you guys presenting at the BFCVC, our very first virtual conference. So that's going to be nice. And I just wanted to give you a final word to shareholders or potential shareholders.
Yeah, well, I think it's a long-term investment. If people do invest, particularly if they invested, today with the potential restructuring of the shares of the, they would get huge returns. But it's a long-term game, and I think we want people to invest in us long-term and grow with us.
Excellent. John, any final comments?
Look, what I love, that's sláinte. When you have a drink, you say sláinte. No word. What I really see here is an opportunity for people who are following penny stock to see, once in a lifetime major player come on front of their eyes. And you invest a little bit of money now, your grandchildren will make a lot of money from it, because we have the property. Ireland is wide open for this. If it works out for us, we'll have 10 times the asset this time next year, because as soon as it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. As we raise the finance, not from vulture funds at 8, 10, 15%, but actually from equity or equity debt split or whatever way we want to do it, we can just grow the portfolio. So watch SurMaker, buy some SurMaker. That's what I tell people.
Yeah, Don, any final thoughts?
Well, just generally speaking about the OTC, you've got two types of companies. You have people that come on and the CEOs spend all their time promoting the company and not running the business. And in our case, we spend most of our time running the business, and the market will follow. I can sleep at night with the investment, knowing there's a solid asset base behind it. And for me, that's important, right? As I get older, right, I need to do that. So I think it's got very good fundamentals to it, and I think the future is pretty bright for it.
Excellent. Well, I want to say thank you guys. I know nice late night, and you could get back to the game now if it's still going.
Ronaldo just scored. It's 2-2, I hear.
Good. Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of it, and I look forward to having you guys on for an update. Definitely look forward to you presenting at the conference, and I'll be keeping a close eye. We'll all be keeping a close eye on all your successes. So we'll have you on again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Pleased to talk to you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. All right. That was excellent guest. I can't wait to see what they do. Good real estate play. Finally, for the BFC, we got one, and it's Crkt. And I'm glad they answered a lot of those questions in regards to the share structure. This is a low float and with a real actual low market cap. And so good stuff. I want to get right to the nitty gritty. Yes, as I mentioned, we have our conference. Hey, if you know a company that maybe would want to present, we're low on time, but presentations are due by the end of this week. So make sure that hey, spread the word. All right. But yeah, we have about like 9 or 10 companies presenting. So I'm pretty excited about that. And hey, not bad for a first time through. But I want to get right to it. Put your comments in the chat. I'm going to, address all that, ask whatever you want, and I'll give you my opinions on whatever. But remember, they're just opinions. It's not financial advice. Yes, by the way, YCRM, I asked for an update from Rick Jordan. All right, and you ask and you shall receive. So here is a ticker YCRM CEO Rick Jordan with an update. So here we go.
YCRM, what's shaking? BFC, thanks for asking for an update if there was any update to give, and here's what I'll give you tonight. Name change, we are still working on that. That's something that FINRA asked for, something else this week. This is the same as usual, right? It's been, I think, over 4 months now. I took a look back, and we did file that on, it was February 5th. It was the day after the day that we became current with all of our filings. So I'll keep you updated on that, absolutely. I think I got some good news this week that I can't quite share yet, so we'll see what shakes down. And another cool thing is that our new lead generation for organic sales actually launches. We have a partner with that. I'll put out a press release on this in probably about a week. We go live with that later this month, which I'm really freaking pumped for this. It is AI-based, capturing search traffic, local search traffic in very specific areas and markets that we're in right now, and then we'll be expanding to other markets after the first 3 months of ramping this up. It's really super cool. I'm pumped about it. And lastly, I am actually exploring moving our corporate offices. It's not something that is set in stone at this point, but you know what, Nevada, ice cream company, that's great. I don't think so for a cybersecurity company, a blockchain company, especially a tech holding company that's involved in all of those things. So might be looking at Miami. We'll see how that rolls. It's kind of the first thing that pops to mind because that is just hot now with everything SaaS related with cybersecurity and blockchain. So it's got to be strategic, and that's what I'm exploring now. And lastly, I know everybody wonders about this. The notes are on my radar. I want to just tell you that the notes are absolutely on my radar. It will take a few months to strategize around those, but I've already had some preliminary talks. It's not something that I've just let by the wayside now that I can actually run the business because we're completely current, and obviously we're on a normal filing schedule now. I feel like I can breathe. So beyond that, I hope you have an amazing night. I'm actually going to go to dinner with my son tonight, just my son and I. It's pretty awesome. So do something awesome. Hug somebody you love tonight, and I appreciate every single one of you.
Awesome update, and I'm actually really glad that he gave us that. And yeah, so the notes are on his radar, so they're looking at ways to address that. That's good. Obviously, maybe we're going to have the name and ticker change soon. That would be great. That'd be a kick-ass catalyst. And so just a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff going on with YCRM, and I'm just glad that they are just being they're communicating regularly. So that's excellent. And real quickly, from their financial highlights, from the annual, revenue increased 27%. The net income reached 4.4 million. 2.4 million in debt was canceled. 28.4% decrease in cost of goods sold. Gross profit surged 145.7% to 2.98 million, up from 1.21 million in 2023. So they're doing stuff. He's getting stuff done, and like I said, I'm really excited about this one. And I think that I think it's gonna be a banger. I really do. And the market cap is stupid low. It's like 500,000 or 600, something stupid low. So do I think it could 10x at least from these levels? I do. I think it's going to have its day, and it's had its runs in the past. I know I have some kind of CYBL. Maybe I'll talk a little CYBL later. I'm not focused on that one, even though there is a lot going on there. And we have Bella in the house. Hello, Bella. Great to see you. Oh my gosh. Looks like he used AI for that. He didn't. That was really Rick Jordan. And so yeah, let's get this party started. Ilus and SML. Here we are. Oh man, yeah. This one it really does bite right now, and I know like a lot of people are like, oh, he's the Ilus boy, he's the Ilus pump boy. Listen. The truth is, I'm invested in this long term. I always said 3 to 5 years. We're in year 4, but you know what? There's one thing that I'm not happy about, and I know a lot of you aren't happy about it. The fact that their filings still are not done. All right, and we're going to talk Qind and HGL in a second, but in regards to Ilus and SML, the filings are not done. And a lot of people are concerned that we're going to lose trading days and they're going to go to expert market for a few days. Listen, the shareholder meeting's coming. The presentations are coming. Is there a list of things that I want to see out of this presentation? Absolutely. I want to hear the roadmap. I want to hear about the acquisitions. I'm really excited for SML because I think it's a stupid buy right now. Stupid buy. But it's disappointing, and we need them to just pull their weight and just communicate more. And so, you know, a lot of you are upset about the fact that they're like, we're back on Twitter, and then nothing, and then innovation, and then nothing. So I know we hold them to a high standard because we have a lot of money invested in these guys. So are they going to bring it? Ultimately, I think they will. And so that's just my opinion. All right. So I know a lot of you just disagree with me and you think I'm freaking nuts. That's okay. I mean, we can disagree on that. But you know what? That's why there's a lot of companies to choose from. But, you know, looking at the market cap of Ilus, it's 4.4 million. It's a low market cap. You know, and all things considered, surviving two and a half really crappy years in, you know, funding wise, the fact that these guys still only have 3.5 billion authorized shares, I consider that a success. I know some of you are like, you're nuts, but I do look at that as a success. Same thing, Pink Limited for SML. Share structure, all right, here it is. Market cap is 861,000. All right. I have 8 million shares of this. I'm going to keep buying more because I think it's going to make me a lot of money. I know a lot of you think that. It's beaten down and has a low market cap, and there's a pending acquisition coming in. Allegedly. That's what we hear. They've talked about it before. It's going to be the whole emergency response division of Ilus. All right. So, and this is how we're going to probably get our dividends. Crazy town buying. Damn right. You're nuts. I think you are the biggest retail shareholder of Ilus. I think she is. Freaking balls of steel. I'm telling you that one. And so, yeah, SML is just beating the tire, and there it is. And you know what? 18 is the new 8. I think you can pick up a good bunch of shares there. And so that's pretty awesome. 18, when I plan on buying more this week, I'm probably going to bid 18, 17, right around there. Why the hell not? But I'll be honest, I'd have no problem smacking 22, smacking 2. Because I think that this is gonna be a nickel. This is gonna be a dime. I think this has a lot of potential. So let's keep it moving. QIND, and HTOO. All right, I'm gonna go through these PRs rather quickly because this is just an update. But you know what? Hey, lots here. All right, just a reminder. You know that they had a really good 2024, and that was due to El Shola. All right. So they generated 14.2 million in revenue. All right. And it's a 31.1% increase from what they had in 2023. It's good stuff here. Net income for QID reached what? It was net income of 266,000 in 2024 compared to a net loss of 4.2 million in 2023. Elishola contributed net income of 2 million in 2024, an increase of 17.6 over 2023. Factoring in a new 9% United Arab Emirates corporate tax provision implemented in 2024. So listen, you could pause it, you could read it. They're going in their little bit of growing pains, you know, with QID, but it's going in the right direction. But it's locked hand in hand with HTOO. And so they're going to have their meeting. They announced a meeting that's going to hold its annual general meeting on June 25th at 2 p.m. And they're going to discuss and they're going to vote on, guess what? A reverse split. And why are they doing that? Because they need that minimum of $1 per share. They have to do it. All right. And I've always said QINDs to play. It's not necessarily HTOO, but if you really watch what they've done with QIND, that's the value that they're going to bring in. I think HTOO is going to do very, very well under JP Backwell's leadership. That's just me. But they got to get the split approved and completed. Whether or not they're going to do the share conversion before or after, that remains to be seen. I prefer them do it before. They may even split QIND. I know something you guys don't really want to hear, but guess what? They got it approved. They could split QIND. So ask yourself, is the play QIND or HTOO? I think it's QIND. All right. This is a quote from JP Backwell. Holding the AGM and obtaining shareholder approval for the proposed reverse share split will reaffirm to the market that Fusion Fuel is steadily progressing towards its goal of fully regaining compliance with NASDAQ listing requirements. With continued strong growth alongside promising strategic acquisition opportunities, we believe the company is well on its way towards long-term sustainability and shareholder value. All right. Interesting stuff. Here we go. Fusion Fuel Green, a provider integrator. Okay, let's go on here. Binding terms, non-binding terms. All right, with a privately held United Kingdom based fuel distribution target to acquire 100% of the equity of Target and certain related companies from their existing shareholders. Certain related companies from their existing shareholders. So there's more. There's something else going on there. The signing of the heads of terms follows the signing of a non-binding letter of intent between the parties, which was previously announced by the company on April 9th, 2025. I know a lot of you are like, I don't want the freaking non-binding, and just close the damn deal. Close the deal already. Close deal. We don't want to hear a letter of intent of a letter of intent. Thinking thoughts of a letter of intent. We don't want to hear that. We want to see these deals close. But let's talk about this Target a little bit. For the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2024, Target generated revenues of approximately $50 million and net income of approximately $5 million. Target showed strong growth in the following fiscal year ending April 30th, 2025, just recently, achieving revenues of approximately $58 million and net income of approximately $7 million. All right. As of April 30th, 2025, Target had no debt except for approximately $1 million under a revolving credit line. So what the hell are they going to do? How are they going to get this? What are the terms? Under the heads of terms, subject to execution of one or more definitive agreements with the existing shareholders of Target, Fusion Fuel will acquire the entire share capital of Target for a total consideration of 50 million euros, consisting of 40 million in debt finance cash. Always love to see that. And 10 million in Fusion Fuel ordinary shares in accordance with certain shareholder approval and securities registration requirements. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pull off this deal. All right. Sure. Oh, that's so funny. That's an IOU. It's as good as money. The old Dumb and Dumber comments. This is good stuff. Let's talk EHVVF. This is a new one that's been added to the BFC watch list, and these guys are going to be presenting as well at the first virtual conference of the BFC, the BFCVC. I like saying that real fast. But yeah, here we are, EHVVF, and Pink Current, independent directors, market cap 6.9 million, and an outstanding held at DTC 304 million. Low float. This thing will move. It will move. They just got to give us a reason to, and they're already starting. Breaking news: eHave acquires AIHeadhunter.com in $10 million deal. All right, this isn't just another tech acquisition. It's eHave's bold move to go all in on AI in a $700 billion plus industry. Applied AI, real-world impact, scalable growth. Ben Kaplan says it best. We're incubating platforms that fix real inefficiencies. Performance-based earnouts of up to $7 million show the upside is just getting started. And so that's an exciting one. We're gonna see what happens here. I'm excited for it. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have some fun with this one. Yeah, by the way, if you hear anybody in the background, that's my massage chair going off. It talks to me. So yes, this is the actual press release they put out. So you always want to make sure don't read the tweet. Go look at the filing. So it says AI Headhunter slashes hiring time by 85% and cost by 70%. You know how many companies are going to love to use this? eHave's vision to incubate scalable platforms tackling real-world inefficiencies come to life in a $700 billion industry projected to top $2 trillion by 2033. All right, and so there's going to be a lot going on there. A lot of opportunity. So what are they going to do? How are they going to buy it? The purchase price consists of $2.7 million in newly created Series A convertible preferred stock and 100 million shares of common stock. The preferred stock is convertible into common shares at a rate determined by a volume-weighted average price formula and is subject to shareholder approval of an amendment to eHave's articles of incorporation. All right, so we see these types of things a lot. And so the conversion is what is sort of crucial, because that's going to really dictate how the stock is going to perform. So, and at the end here, it says the agreement also includes performance-based earnouts of up to $7 million, performance-based, $7 million in additional preferred stock tied to specific revenue and customer milestones. That sounds exciting. And so they actually had, let's just take a look real quick. And then we already covered that tweet. So this is just the beginning, Ben says. We are rebuilding eHave from the inside out, and our process is driven by intelligent systems designed to solve real large-scale problems. I like it. And so here's the chart, and it's starting to move. It's starting to move nicely, and it's starting to come alive. You see these high volume days, people are starting to buy it. Where's this thing going to go? I don't know. I think this is going to be trending upward. I think we're going to be talking about this one for months to come, and I can't wait to see their presentation. They also put out, by the way, they put out a video when they did this. So let's just take a quick look at that.
At eHave, we're not just innovating, we're revolutionizing. We're transforming game-based therapeutics into cutting-edge AI platforms, reshaping what's possible in healthcare, enterprise, and beyond. Since 2017, we've driven groundbreaking research, bold innovations, and rapid growth, always pushing forward, never settling. Meet AI Headhunter, our powerful AI-driven platform, redefining recruitment, making hiring smarter, quicker, and seamlessly intuitive. At the core is our revolutionary AI tech, fueling breakthrough therapies, turbocharging research, and scaling next-level healthcare solutions. Investors stay ahead with instant access to the latest filings, impactful reports, and vital strategic insights, all at your fingertips. Our AI assistant delivers real-time answers and updates anytime you need them. With visionary leadership and a focused team, eHave is dedicated to impactful innovation in digital therapeutics. Join us. Innovate with us. Visit ehave.com.
Cool stuff. And like I said, we're going to keep them on the radar. And I'm excited to see what happens. I think there's a lot of good companies out there. I think there's a lot of good stocks. We just got to keep digging and keep interviewing and keep doing our due diligence and finding out what are going to be the good ones. And like I said, I think we're at the bottom for so many of these. And yes, Swaggy Will, bro. Mark was at ApeCon 7 this weekend. And yes, I did see that he hinted maybe a partnership with Palantir Technologies. I know that's the big rumor going around, is that CYBL has a partnership with Palantir, which would be absolutely enormous. It would be great. That would be the one. That would be a big deal. And so we're gonna keep watching like we always do. We've always covered CYBL. We've always talked CYBL. And so I'm excited to see what they do. I know that many people right now are concerned about the receivership issue with CYBL. So we're going to see how things play out. And, this is a to be continued. So, yeah, ApeCon 7, it's a big deal. So, listen, guys, that's all I got. I want to say thank you to our guests, John, Tom, and Don. Wow, how about that? And thank you to all of you who asked questions. Shout out to, hey, Bella, the video, Jordan Hugga. Yeah, it's great to have you guys. Super Robot, thanks for asking. Swaggy Will, thanks for chiming in. Guys, there's a lot to be thankful for. There's a lot to be excited about. The best is yet to come, and I think we found a lot of beauties. And so I'm going to continue to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to continue to do the firsthand due diligence. I'm not stopping. All right. And by the way, the Ilus Hill, that'll be the hill I die on. And so either I'm going to be successful, it's going to be great, and I'm going to make some money on it, or I'm not, and I'll own it either way. But you know what? That's what I'm doing, and I'm just going to keep freaking doing it. You guys are awesome. Remember, there is more that binds us than breaks us. You guys have an awesome night. Stay out of trouble, and don't let the bed bugs bite. Peace out.